Hello, welcome to yet another episode of the Heartful Show, where heart meets the art. Today, the guest who I have here needs no introduction. He's, I think, one of the most promising artists India has ever, India has. He's a graffiti artist, a promiser, a promising artist, and someone who creates hope in the industry. He does not paints walls, but he also inspires people. He's a TEDx speaker and an entrepreneur and a change maker. He's a cancer survivor as well. So today we have an inspiration and a prodigy sitting with us, Kartikey Sharma. Hi, what's up?
Hi, thank you for having me here.
Thanks for waiting for so long. You've come all the way from Pune. So how are you doing, Kartikey?
I'm good.
So, I'll tell you how the Heartful Show goes. We're going to talk about some really fun and, funky stories about your life, about art in general, and about certain controversial topics as well. So, Karthike, for all the people who are listening to you for the first time, why graffiti? What do you do? Why graffiti?
So see, I today I'm actually not a graffiti artist,
Hmm.
but graffiti is a very important part of my whole art journey, or rather the actual beginning. That is because I don't think I had any name
Hmm.
or any identity when I was starting.
Hmm.
Also because I was pursuing engineering.
Yeah.
And the history of graffiti itself is to give identity to people who don't have an identity otherwise. So they write their names on the walls and they make their presence felt, right? So that concept of artists actually going against all rules and regulations and making a place for themselves without any help was a big inspiration for me to start.
Hmm.
That's why, regardless of how my career has shaped, I have not left that name of Karthikeya Graffiti.
Fortunately.
Fortunately, or however, I'm sure many other graffiti artists don't agree with the fact that I should consider myself a graffiti artist, but that's okay. It's a very emotional thing more than anything else. And the fact that graffiti itself stands for not following the rules. So if I'm breaking any more,
Exactly.
it doesn't matter, right?
In art itself, I think that there shouldn't be any rules as such. I mean, whatever we are taught, we are never taught how to do a certain art form. It's always impromptu and something which you create and not genre you create. But engineering and art, like these are two different, they're poles apart. How did art come into the picture?
So engineering and art are not poles apart at all.
Okay.
Okay. Everything that you touch, feel, and work
Hmm.
with today, including the mic, the watch, the phone, it's all art.
Agreed.
Every engineer who has ever produced anything that had value came out of art. So what is art? Art is something when you create something that doesn't exist and you put a little bit of yourself in it, right? That's the basic essence of art.
Agreed.
And that's what every engineer does. When the first car was made, when the first phone was made, when the first bulb was made, it was creating something that never existed. So I don't consider those two things apart at all. In fact, any profession where the person is um, giving his soul or her soul to it becomes art. Like being a chef becomes art,
Yeah.
rather than like
Yeah,
there are
that's what
all
people
kinds
say.
of
There's a fine line. There's a famous thing that there's a fine line between an artist and a cook. So chef is an artist basically. He's not a cook. What is the difference when he puts his soul and he puts his own flavor and his own view to it, then he becomes a chef. Otherwise he's a simple cook, what he's been doing.
yeah. So like I was saying, when I was in engineering, I actually was very good at it, but I don't think I was passionate enough to become an artist of an engineer.
Mm.
I also saw many of my other friends who were real artist kind of engineers, who would spend their days making a car out of a bike engine.
Mm.
And, they were very passionate and very creative in their approach. I moved from the stream of engineering and taking a job to art because I have a belief that anything is possible. And I think that came over the years. But when I was during my engineering days, I was doing an internship with Thermax. So it
Yeah.
was a 6 months long internship. And there I think I decided that if I am going to work hard, I would do it in the field of art. and not in
Was it a
stress.
big emotional jump? I mean, considering we all belong to an Indian family or Indian families here. So they have a very different mindset when it comes to switching, a professional stream to something to do with art. So do you think it was a big emotional jump?
It was a very big emotional jump for sure, but I am not the kind who follow anybody else's advice or path. Or I mean, it's gonna sound extremely rude, but I don't give any importance to anything else, anybody else who's thinking for me.
Agreed.
So I'm the kind of person who might listen to everyone and take everybody else's experience through books or elders or friends, but the final decision is always mine, and I am a very decisive person. So if I take a decision, I will stick to it.
Hmm.
It might take 1 month for the results to come or 10 years. I don't care.
What made you say, fuck you to life and choose art? Like, was there a turning point where you said, okay, this is what I want to do? Like, engineering is not my cup of tea, or maybe 10 years down the line, this might be my backup, but art is something which I want to get into, or street art is something I want to get into.
There was a time when during engineering when I was not in good terms with my family because of my views on how to live my life and how
Of course,
general
it
views
is, yeah.
and my
It is
inclination
art.
towards art also. I think one fine day when I decided that I am not going to live by anybody else's rules, I think it was third year college. I stopped going to college altogether.
Oh, fantastic.
And then I did all my exams together in the final semester.
Hmm.
Failed one,
Hmm.
passed 49, close to
Okay.
close to 40 odd. How many ever exams I must have missed by then? But yes, that was the exactly what I was trying to say. I'm a very decisive person. I took a decision and then I had to go through with it. I am not a person who keeps a backup. Either it's going to happen or I'm going to die trying, but it is going to be that.
Fantastic.
I
Yeah, that's,
because I don't I can't do two things at the same time.
you
You know,
got
if
that.
I'm here, then I'm here. That kind of helped to do the kind of work or the kind of industry I'm in because you need to be like that. And I learned it from the best. No, I started reading books about businesses, and in the business you are, you might want to learn everything. Becoming a jack of all there, that I completely agree with. But everybody had a whoever did well in their career, no matter if they were actors or businessmen or painters or whoever, they had a vision and they didn't keep a backup for themselves.
They didn't. Yeah, I mean, yeah, they all have to start somewhere. But yeah, in the back of the mind, 90% of the successful entrepreneurs and business oriented people, they don't have backups.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, take SRK also for that matter, who's the biggest superstar in the world. He didn't have a backup. So you're right. I mean, when you know that you have something to fall back upon, I think you do not succeed.
Or you do not give your 100%, or the desperation decreases something or the other. I mean, I'm sure there are different ways to look at it from different perspective. I can only talk about myself. I always thought that I didn't have the bandwidth to think about a backup.
Fair enough.
You know?
But talking about graffiti, do you think that graffiti and street art exists? Or, I mean, did you see a future of it in a country like India?
We are in that future. This question was asked 15 years ago. When we were starting, did my first wall in 2010.
Hmm.
At that time, this was a question that does it have a future? Of course, now today we are in that future. There are
Yeah.
over 200, 300 artists who I know. I don't know how many that we are not aware of because we all live in our own small bubble, who are sustaining their lives by doing what they love, and
Which is street
it's
art.
a career. Yeah,
Why am I asking is because, being in the art industry is why I come across a lot of graffiti artists as well. Now, the fortunately, we are seeing a lot of, not graffiti per se, but street art. Like you see the metro pillars getting painted, this and that. But why did I ask that question? Because this is something which people are not, I mean, they're averse to it. People are not comfortable with it, probably because they don't understand the language behind it. And number two, government regulations, because the government works on a very different tangent altogether. So, have you ever faced any from getting government approvals or something of that sort while doing certain projects?
getting government approval definitely is a barrier because they have their views, or they are right. They're actually kind of right. They have to keep a check on a lot of other people's sentiments, and not trying to hurt anybody. And I understand that's all right. And they also have their own theme.
Hmm.
But the fact that things have changed, government is giving more and more permissions than before. They're also realizing that artists today are not so adamant that they want to make just what they want to make. Even artists are understanding that, there's a balance. Because it's like, the easiest way to explain this is people do commercial movies to earn money, and then they do
Yeah.
the film that they want to do because their heart, isn't it? So artists also do that now. Artists design as a designer, not as an artist, for a purpose. And government is also
Commercial ones,
allowing this
yes.
a lot.
Yeah.
Earlier, when we were starting, I remember a lot of meetings, a lot of government officials. It was difficult to convince them because it's like a client doesn't know what they want, honestly. So there was no examples of what we were talking about.
Hmm.
Slowly, a lot of people have worked very hard to create these examples. For example, Start India has worked really, really hard
Yeah.
since 2008, 9. I don't know when. I think it was way before when I even started considering this as a career. They were already working on making it popular, in the sense making the government and the citizen realize that this is a form of art. And they kind of paid the way, they made examples through whatever struggles they had. And they took the control of design also. That was tremendous, very
Have you
appreciative.
ever had an incident with any politician or the government, a memorable one where you said, I mean, shit, man.
I've had meetings, I have had rejections, nothing memorable. That's a very normal part of our life. Probably had lakhs and lakhs of rejections, but
Hmm.
yeah, nothing important.
Any incident where you've done a wall and you've painted a wall, and then after that, they would have to whitewash the entire thing, saying that this is trash.
Yeah, that's happened a lot. So that's happened in
Yeah.
two ways. One, I painted over a already government wall, which was not in a very good condition, and I was doing my clean and paint Pune drive where I was trying to clean the walls. So because it was already painted, but it was looking
Of
bad, I
course.
tried to repaint it. But somebody's sentiment got hurt,
Hmm.
and they were very aggressive towards me,
Oh, wow.
to a point that I think they wanted to break my face because I painted over something that they loved a lot. So instead of fighting with them, I think I painted what they wanted it in the original sense, and then continued with my
But this
wall
this
mural.
is the exact difference why I was asking about India versus world, because you've traveled the world. So there, that I mean, even though we claim and aggressively claim that we live in a democracy, but there are certain cultural barriers which, of course, you must have been through, and you agree that there are cultural barriers and they're part of life. So I mean, do you think that hinders and rejects and stops you from doing what you love?
No, no, it doesn't. See, this is also a very big misconception, honestly. If you are just talking about abroad is very, very big. There are different kind of countries everywhere.
Yeah.
There are different kind of countries with different kind of people, different kind of cultures.
Yeah.
Now, this incident that I was talking about, somebody got offended because his sentiment was involved with that painting, right? It'll happen in any country whatsoever. It's very personal. If I'm going to paint a wall which I don't own, like we know, we tell each other that New York, or we are referring to
Yeah, because
America when we're
Europe, yeah,
talking
yeah.
about,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
mean Europe, because Europe also has a lot of graffiti. London specifically.
that okay. If we talk about Europe side, if it's somebody's wall or government wall or a public wall, if you write something or make something that is going to hurt somebody's sentiment, that person will or will not. For example, if they do retaliate, it's the same situation that happened with us. We just feel like there is more freedom there because we're sitting here. It's the same. If somebody is getting hurt and they choose to retaliate, they will retaliate in any country. It has nothing to do with India.
Yeah, I mean, it has nothing to do with India, but what I'm saying, there are a lot of cultural barriers. This incident specifically, okay, agreed. But especially in art, because I don't think that there's any boundary. Otherwise, if there's a boundary, it's not considered to be art. Because we also sell paintings for a living. So a lot of times we've had customers say, "Oh, how can a Nandi be red in color?" or something of that sort. There's a lot of cultural barriers here. So I'm talking about those barriers restricting our way to do an art form for that matter. So that is
No,
specifically what I'm talking.
explain me what is that question?
For example, if you're doing a wall, okay, and you paint, say, a Nandi in a funny, quirky way, and someone gets offended, that is your art form. You paint a Nandi with another Gau kissing each other, and that hurts people's sentiment. And that actually, because over here we have so many cultures and so many religions, and it hurts that cultural barrier. What do you do?
Firstly, I won't do something like that.
Exactly.
Okay. Also, because my art form is not about anything else but me.
Hmm.
Most artists are like that. They are very self-centered, and the whole point of being an artist is to give out what's inside you. Secondly, if at all my subject was Nandi, and I was doing whatever, I was painting whatever I wanted to, and somebody's sentiments got hurt, then it's a personal choice. You want to fight it, you don't want to fight it. But if your question is that cultural scenario in India restricts artists from expressing themselves, I'm not very uh, I'm not in support of that answer. People have over the past so many years found ways of expressing the same sentiment by taking risks sometimes, by not taking risks sometimes. Some artists still are there who are taking risk in the sense they don't reveal their identity
Yeah.
and still paint whatever they want to
Yeah.
paint. So it's what you are after, you know. It's if you are after fame, you'll have to make some compromises. If you don't care, then you won't have to make
True.
compromises.
But
You have
yeah, I mean, that's
consequences.
why I was asking graffiti or street art, because over there
Yeah.
you're open to the public. I mean, you're
Now,
in the public eye.
so many graffiti artists don't reveal their real names or their real identities for the exact same reason. I think that's a good thing. They should do it. They should do it like that because then they can be as honest with their artwork as possible, which I certainly can't and I don't. If I'm so see, if you're going to talk about me, I don't see art right now. I don't see art as just an expression for me. Okay, I had decided good 12 years ago that I am going to make money only through art. This is the journey I'm going to
So
take.
you
That's
also
the
see it from a
decision.
commercial angle.
So I was sure that I will have to do a lot of things for other people. Now, most of the work that I do is commissioned.
Yeah.
I would say like 90% of the work that I do is commissioned art. When it is commissioned art, I am giving a service.
Yeah.
So I am listening to the client. Then when all of this is done, I do my own thing. And there obviously I don't listen to anything.
Yeah, of course. Then why do you care?
But there are two aspects of this.
Which
And
are?
no, these are the two
Yeah,
aspects that artists will paint for others and then artists will paint for themselves. In both these cases, they can paint whatever. See, if you are saying if an artist is painting Nandi in a different light, if he doesn't show it to anybody, who cares? Because then he is painting for the joy of painting and not for any result.
Yeah, that is what I'm saying. When you start commercializing is when I was talking about.
Or maybe when you start painting it for others, then there will be consequences. Then you will adjust. If you don't adjust, then you'll bear the
Of course,
consequence.
you bear the consequences. That's exactly what I'm talking about. That if you have ever faced such an incident or such a
Apart from that one incident, never honestly. I'm not very big on trying to get famous. Okay, so I don't care if people don't see my work.
Talking about famous, I mean, let's talk about Pepsi Sri Lanka. You did a commissioned artwork for them. You did the walls there. Tell me about that incident. I mean, that entire experience.
It was a good experience. Pepsi Sri Lanka wanted artists, I think, from many different places
Yeah.
or different kind of artists. So they contacted almost the whole industry. Honestly, it was not just me. There were more than 10 different artist groups or artists who were representing, and they were painting in Sri Lanka. It was very cool. I actually got a very small wall, so I had no pressure and I had a lot of fun. The crew was great. Pepsi employees are amazing. We had a great time. Yeah, it was kind of like a easy project to do.
Do you know how many projects? I mean, how many walls have you done so far?
I lost count like
Wow.
many years ago.
Wow.
I think not 5. I would say like 2 years ago. We used to count projects, but now what has happened that my whole system of work has become in a way that now there are too many people working for Paper Plane. That's my company's name.
We're going to talk about that eventually.
So, and I don't take credit for all the work that's going on. It's always the artists who are doing it.
Of course.
Because my work mostly is to get the design sorted and get the vision of the project sorted, and then the artist actually goes and executes it. So Now I don't know how many projects I'm actually doing.
Fantastic.
So, and maybe that's a good thing.
Why haven't you ever, like, you've always chosen the street or commission projects over galleries? Why have you never worked with any art gallery per se?
So see, in the beginning, it was a very logical decision.
Okay.
So I just did simple math. If I'm going to buy a canvas, buy paints, and paint something and then try to sell, I'm already putting in money.
Hmm. Fair
Okay.
enough.
If somebody is commissioning me to do an artwork, he's going to give me advance, and then I'm going to use that money to buy the supplies and then sell the artwork, which is pre-approved.
Hmm.
It just made business sense.
I'm just gonna contradict and stop here. Don't you think? I mean, see, art is all about you see what you buy. I mean, of course, you need to see a painting or an art form before you buy a painting. So in commission works, 90% of commission works are, oh, you just have an inspiration or a picture and then you end up painting something out of it. So people are paying for something they're not seeing. So don't you think that making something and then selling it is much easier than painting something which is not even seen?
So see, in my experience, it was not. Now imagine you're starting out, this is your first painting.
Okay.
Nobody cares. But to buy that, I have to spend at least 5,000 rupees.
Hmm.
I don't have that 5,000 rupees.
Hmm.
I got to paint my first few walls on college fest budget.
Oh, wow.
That became my portfolio. It was a long wall. So even if I took pictures every 10 feet, I could show a very large portfolio. That's how I made my first portfolio.
Fair enough.
So now the clients who I was approaching who didn't know that painting a wall is actually a thing, because back then it was not, when they started seeing that, they knew I had some skill. Then they would give me a concept and I would sketch it on a paper. And then there was pure trust. If the artwork is not satisfactory, he'll keep making me edit it,
Hmm.
or else I won't get my final payment.